hair mask and video in one? Yes. So, my name's Ayomi. I plan on studying fashion design and textiles while I'm at SAIC. I'm a freshman, of course. So let's start off with money. That was a really big question a lot of people had, whether or not it was scholarships or loans or how to get loans. Yeah, so let me actually pull up my loans, because I find a lot of people don't really actually give you numbers when they go over their college stuff, and I really need numbers to know if I can afford something. So I had to take out a Parent Plus loan and federal loans, because the federal government only gave me $3,500 for a subsidized loan, and then $2,000 for an unsubsidized loan. You know, anything counts, but it's still money I have to pay back. So, I also got a Federal Plus loan, which is the parent loan that the parents take out, but you still have to pay for. Mine was $44,000. So in total, I have, rounding up, 50 grand in loans right now as a freshman. Obviously not everyone will have that much, but the school did give me a scholarship too. They gave me half, so pretty much half of my tuition for my 4 years. So every year they pay half for the 4 years, if that makes sense. So this year I got $18,000, and then next year it'll be the same. Next it'll be the same and the same, because the tuition here is only about 36 to 40 depending on your major and like outside costs, but the basis is 36 to 40. Oh, to back it up, a lot of people don't really understand the difference between loans, and I can honestly just go over it really quickly. So a subsidized loan is when you're in school, the federal government will pay your interest rate. So if you don't know, most loans, you have an interest rate, of course. And every year it accrues and it accrues and it accrues. And at the end of your college life, this is mainly for student loans, at the end of your college life, you'll have a chunk of money added on to your loan amount, because that was the interest. So that's basically the unsubsidized loan. It's when the interest accrues and builds up, and then you have an extra chunk of money that's added onto your original loan that you have to pay back. So for my unsubsidized loan, my 2 grand, it'll most likely turn into 3 to 4. Sometimes they double, sometimes it'll only be like maybe 500 more. It really honestly depends on your interest rate, but I personally don't remember my interest rate. The Parent Plus loan is pretty much the same thing as the unsubsidized loan. It's just that you're getting it from a private loan person from the government, which is why they can give you more money, because FAFSA can only give you so much money. They didn't give me any free money. They gave me loans. So another loan option would be a private loan, whether it's from a bank or another something private that doesn't involve the government. And normally those interest rates are a lot higher. I was looking at one from a bank, I think it might have been Discover, but the interest rate was hella high, like 14%, 18%. Too high, way too high. And it was showing me, it was either Discover or SunTrust or one of the banks. It was just super high. And if I was going to be taking out, say, $40,000, my interest would double basically for the 4 years, and I'd be paying back around 80 grand for just 1 year of school. So I didn't do that, obviously. I did the Parent Plus. But the private loan should really honestly be your last resort because of the interest rate. It's just killer. It kills. There's also, when it comes to federal loans, a max amount that you can receive from them. So for my year, for the 2018 people that started school 2018, it was $57,000 for your undergrad. That's the max amount of money you can get. If you are gonna be a freshman soon, I would suggest looking up on the internet what the limit is for your starting year, so that you can really get a look at how you're going to be paying for school. Because honestly, $57,000 is definitely enough for a state college, most state colleges or community colleges, but being that SAIC is a private school, obviously the tuition is more. So like, for example, Parsons in New York, their tuition it was around 60 to 70 grand a year without housing. That was actually one of the schools I wanted to go to, but I wasn't the biggest fan of how their fashion department was going. So, and I really love SAIC's fashion department and how they push boundaries and how they're just really not afraid to do anything. And I really admire that, and I really want to learn how to do something just weird, I guess. I mean, weird is I don't mind weird, like the word weird, but some people might get offended. But yes, that was a long backstory to my first topic. So how dorming works was another question that I got a lot, actually. So the first thing you'll be doing for dorming wise is, after you accept SAIC's, what's it called, acceptance for you, like once you say, yes, I will go to SAIC, you will do your housing deposit or your tuition deposit, whatever the deposit is. I think there's actually separate deposits. I don't really remember exactly. I just remember that when it comes to dorming, you pay $500 or $550, and after you pay your deposit, you will be getting an email, if whether or not you're early action or regular. Early action gets an email earlier than the others because they were early action. I was one of the early action students from my class. So then after that, when you get your email, I would really highly suggest that you fill it out the second you get it. Because a lot of people that I know waited to fill theirs out and they did not get what they wanted, and they were extremely unhappy with the dorm that they got. However, I filled it out literally the minute they sent it, well, the minute after they sent it, and I got the room that I wanted. I wanted a double in 162 because 162 to me is my favorite because of the studio space and the windows and just the layout of the room. I really enjoy. After you get the email, like I said, you fill it out. You answer a bunch of different questions about how you are as a person, what you live like, if you are an active cleaner, or if you come home late, if you stay up late, if you get up early. They pretty much use that questionnaire to help you find a roommate, like in the randomizer, if you don't have a roommate in mind or if you couldn't find one. They also have this resource where for every class, they make a Facebook group. So my class was class of 2022, so we had a Facebook group. And a lot of people found their roommates through there. And even still, even if you get your roommate and you're in your dorm and you're living for the first semester, if you don't like your situation, you can still get out of it in November. They have roommate swaps, and honestly, if you really can't stand it, just tell your RA and they can probably switch you or find you a different room to stay in. But yes, I really recommend making sure that you fill out that housing application so that you don't get stuck in interim housing. Interim housing is literally kind of what it means. It's the housing that they put you in temporarily because they don't know where else to put you. That's actually where my roommate was until they moved her in with me, because the person I was going to be rooming with decided to not come to SAIC anymore. So then she got placed with me. Personally though, I will be looking for an apartment next year because the dorms are a little too expensive for me, being that for a double in 162, it's $12,300 for the year, and then that divided by the 9 months that you're staying in the dorm, it comes out to around 1,366 repeating. And I can find an apartment cheaper with someone else, of course. So I'd be splitting the rent with someone, and even just splitting rent with someone and me only paying $1,000 a month versus the $1,300, $1,400 a month, it's a lot cheaper, because that saves me like $3,600 a year. And there are even cheaper apartments, even under $1,000. If you're gonna be like, say when I say under $1,000, I mean there are cheaper apartments under $2,000 for 2 rooms, so like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or 2 bath. There are like $1,800, $1,700. I've been looking at some $1,600 ones, so that way I'll only be paying $800 a month. It's a lot cheaper than just paying the dorming. But my parents wanted me to stay in the dorms for the first year, even though I begged them to have an apartment. But I understand why, and I'm not really mad at it, because I really do like the dorm. I just want like a real kitchen, I want a real bedroom, I want a living room, a space that's like a home instead of like a big studio, which is pretty much what the 162 is. It's like a big studio. But I like it. It's just like if I was alone, I'd like a big studio, but kind of literally like sleeping right next to someone every day. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just, sometimes you want your own bedroom. Okay, so one question was navigating campus. Being that SAIC is in the city, it's in Chicago, right in the Loop. The Loop is downtown Chicago, that's what they call it here. You basically can either get to every class by walking or taking the train, but honestly you can get to everything by walking. If you don't give yourself enough time, then definitely take the train. But if say you're living in 162 and you're going to Sharp, which is a building that you'll learn, it's mainly where cafeteria and first year classes are, and also the fibers department, I believe, is in there as well. Like I said, freshmen don't know everything about SAIC. But yeah, so say you have a class in Sharp at 9 a.m. You live in 162. It'll take you, if you're a slow walker, it'll take you 15 minutes to walk there. If you are a regular walker, 10, fast walker, like 8 minutes, I'd say. So everything is genuinely pretty close, being that Chicago is a perfect grid, because after the fire, little history lesson, after the fire they rebuilt the whole city into like a very perfect grid. So like if you look at the map of Chicago, it's literally, wait, you can't, literally that. So that's basically navigating campus. You also get a map when you move in. Ours is on the fridge, so I'm not really gonna take it off. Let's see what else. Social life is another question I've been getting. Social life in SAIC, doesn't really exist. Because, okay, that sounds really bad. It doesn't really exist because not a lot of people, at least in the 162 dorms, they don't really do a lot of things in the dorms. Because we're in the city, everyone just goes out because we're in the city, like everything is here. Or they'll go to house parties or parties at other colleges like Loyola or UIC or UC or just everything else, because other colleges, not a lot of art schools do parties like regular colleges do. So that's why a lot of them go out and they'll take the train, or they'll just walk to like a club or something and just have fun. Compared to, I'd say, Columbia, that's the next closest college that's in the Loop or in the city of Chicago. At least that I know. I think there's like another school up there. I'm not that familiar. But I do go to Columbia a lot because I have a lot of friends over there. And I'd say their social life is a lot more. Like, they do a lot of cute little things like parties and stuff. And not to say that SAIC doesn't themselves host things. I'm just saying when it comes to the students. Like, students will like have a party in their dorm versus SAIC not really. But the RAs and stuff and the people that are a part of SAIC as like employees or something, or just people that work with SAIC, they plan different things, which is actually really cool. Like, they'll do movie nights or hot chocolate, or they had like a making journals thing one day, and there's a bunch of different clubs at SAIC. That's amazing. But when it comes to like a party, like if you're looking for a party school, I don't really think SAIC is really the school for you, because honestly, surprisingly, even if you like look at someone and you think they don't do work, a lot of people here are about their stuff, because you're paying $40,000 at least to go here, or unless you got like a full ride scholarship, which you can, I don't know if I mentioned, but you can get a full ride if you live in Chicago, but there are different criteria that you have to meet, and I would really suggest emailing someone in the financial department at SAIC to get better information when it comes to that. Let's see, another thing that I've been getting questions on is self-care and how to keep up with it, because like, you're not at home anymore. You like everything, you pretty much decide everything that you'll be doing. Like, if you didn't want to go to class, you don't have to go to class. Technically though, at SAIC, if you don't show up to class 3 times, you fail the class, and that's how a lot of people fail classes here. So, and some teachers make it 2 absences, but I actually never missed a class this semester, and I was never late. So, I'm a very timely person. I hate being late. But yes, I would say if you've never done any household chores in your life, if you've never washed a dish, washed a bathtub, washed a sink, if you've never done laundry, I'd really suggest learning, because you're going to be on your own and you're going to need to do those things yourself. I'd also suggest learning to cook certain things, like small things. Honestly, cooking isn't that hard. Like, if you can make some eggs or some spaghetti. I would not suggest eating ramen all the time. I ate ramen a lot my senior year of high school, and now I'm really sick of it. So, yeah. Pros and cons of living in the Loop is another topic. So, when it comes to living in the Loop, you're really close to everything, which is really nice. And if you're not, you can always just take the train. The only sucky thing about the train is that compared to New York, the trains do not go out as far, and they're not as extensive means as far, but they're just not as great as New York, because New York goes from like Long Island or Jersey and can take you all the way into the city, and can take you to the Bronx or to Brooklyn, or are those the same thing? You get my point. New York, I'd say their system is more detailed and like has more trains, versus Chicago, it's very to the point. Like, it's just not as many, you can't really get to as many things on a Chicago train versus a New York train, if that makes sense. Personally, I don't really see any cons. I really don't mind it, even though there are cons. Things are more expensive, of course, because it's downtown, so that's a con. But being that I'm a person that adjusts to things really easily, like so much so that my parents call me a cockroach. not the sweetest thing to say, but it's because like cockroaches can survive anywhere, so that's why. Now that I think about it, it's like really, every time I tell people that, they look at me so sad, but it's actually like I think it's funny because I really do adjust. Sometimes I feel like I adjust a little too well to situations or like to being moved to places, but I don't really think that's a bad thing, even though I just said I adjust too well. But yeah, if you didn't know, SAIC is an interdisciplinary school. So what that means is if you don't necessarily have to have an exact major, you can kind of create your own major. So say, like for me, I want to do fashion design and textiles. If I was at another school, doing textiles would be kind of hard because you're doing the fashion, you'd be doing the fashion, what's it called? Like the fashion thing, like you're going there for fashion. But at SAIC, even though I'm going to be hopefully going into the core program here for fashion, I can still take textile courses and it'll be on my, will it be on my certificate? Well, whatever. Like I'll get more knowledge because I can take as many classes as I want. And say I didn't want to do the core program, there's a bodybuilder program, so you get to still take courses that teach you about fashion and teach you different things when it comes to draping and pattern making and just little things like that. But you can also take like ceramics and textiles, like I said, and build your own major. So a lot of people will mix 3. I know some people that do like a little bit of everything, and it's honestly it's pretty much up to you because you're the person that will be graduating. You're the person paying for the classes. So I would honestly say if you're not really sure of what you want to study, SAIC is a good school because it helps you figure it out. Personally, I already knew what I wanted. I wanted fashion design. I want to go into the core program, and I want to have that textiles class or those classes to back me up because I really want to know. Like I feel like it ties in really well together. But that being said, I'm thinking of actually having different students in different departments or different focuses come and talk so that they can kind of give their input on their experience with their program or like the things that they've been learning. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments. So cringy. I think I pretty much answered all of the questions that I was given. If you have any more, honestly, just write them down below and I'll answer. You can DM me on Instagram or Twitter or email me if you want to get that in depth. Or I can just make another video, either just about anything. Just let me know. But let me actually talk about my first semester before I end this video. So, personally, my first semester was the best. I loved everything. I was happy. I was more than happy. Like, I was ecstatic. I felt like I wasn't wasting any of my money with all of my classes. I loved them all, even art history, even though a lot of people did not like my art history class. I loved all of my classes and my teachers. Everything, it was just like everything that I was doing were the things that I've been waiting on for so long. Since 4th grade, I've been wanting to go to college. And I've been like, I just want to go there. I just want to get there. And now that I'm here, everything is going really, really well. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you still have, like, the personal problems will still exist, or, like, family things. Like, things will always come up. But when it comes to school, my experience with SAIC this semester has been the utmost amazing. Is that even correct grammar? I don't know. But it was great. It was so good. So, first year, normally what you will take is your core class. Core is pretty much a class where you just do every form of art. So kind of like how if you go to a regular art school, they make you take a class in drawing and painting and just like a little bit of like a class in everything for your first year. And honestly, that makes it more expensive. And in SAIC, they have one class where they teach you a bunch of different things, whether it's video editing or making plaster molds or doing sculptures or fashion stuff or sewing or photography. It really, really ranges, and that's kind of your fundamental class to kind of build you. And that's the only class that you have for the whole year. You'll have the same teachers, same classmates for your fall and spring semester. Yeah, I love my core class so much. You'll also have a research class. So basically what research is, it's kind of meant to tie into core. Kind of. I've been told that, but I don't really see how it does tie into core, because my research class was one of my absolute favorite. I mean, I feel like all of my classes were my favorites, but my research class was amazing. It was funny because it was all girls, and normally your research class is the people in your research class are the people that are in your what's it called? Your orientation group, normally. And so my orientation group, which formed into my research class, we were all girls with the girl teacher. So it was kind of like a little like club. So it was really cute. That class focused on identity, and that class exceeded anything I thought an art class would be. Like I touched on things that I didn't even know I would ever talk about personally. Like I posted one of my projects on here. I think I can't even say my own disorder. Trichotillomania. Yes, that. I talked about that, and it was just amazing. Like I made a garment describing that, because the project was do a self-portrait without painting yourself or without drawing yourself. And I felt like that was the best way to show people who I am through fashion, because I love fashion. It's everything. It's my true love. It's honestly my true love. So, yeah. So that was research. Research was amazing. Let's see what else. Then you'll have to take an art history class, which you can choose a subject. That's the other amazing thing about SAIC, is that your basic courses, like your general education, you don't really take math here. You can if you really want to, but your general education courses, like your liberal arts, you can choose a topic. So, like I said, you have your core, you have your research, and then you have your art history. I chose like prehistory or something like that, like before 1800s. Actually pretty interesting. I learned a lot, and the quizzes in there were just amazing. You got to quiz yourself on whatever you wanted to be quizzed on. If you guys want a separate video on my classes, like in depth, and what I learned in each of my classes, I can do that, I guess. So yeah, then after art history, you have English, and like I said, you can choose a topic. So my topic was supposed to be women in writing or something like that, but for some reason the class something happened to the class, and it got changed from breakdown to breakthrough, and I still enjoyed it very, very much so. Like I got to read. I love reading. The teacher was great. Everything just went really, really well. And then you have your 5th class, which is, I'll just call it, your 5th class will be pretty much the study that you're thinking about. So for example, for me, it was fashion, intro to fashion. I forgot what it's called. I can't remember the exact name for that category of like classes. I don't know. It's just like the class where like you want to do something interesting, or do something where it has to do with what you want to be studying, or something that you're interested in. So I know people that took ceramics, or they took photography. I'm taking photography next semester. I really wanted to take fibers, but it was full. So next year, it's okay. So yeah, that was that. So to end the video, my last little bit of advice would be, honestly, do your research on the school. I know that there aren't many videos on YouTube about SAIC when it comes to it being from students. That's kind of why I wanted to start doing this, because when I was about to be a freshman this past summer, I was looking for videos of dorm tours and just about the school, and no one really did anything. Like, I would see everything about FIT or Parsons or RISD or Pratt, but nothing about SAIC. So I kind of felt like I can just make them. But yes, I'm getting off topic. My final thing to say would be to do your research on the school, whether it be online reviews or from me, if you want to like hear things from me, or email the school, or just read up on the school, because a lot of people, like, I'd say like this is like my top, it became a pet peeve of mine to hear people talking about the school. And I'm like, if you, like, in my head, I'm thinking, if you just did the research on the school, you would have avoided all of this. Like, yeah, just do your research so that you know the kind of school that you're going to, and think of how you want to learn. I came to SAIC because I didn't want the regular fashion teaching. Like, I wanted to learn how to create weird things out of the box, how to go beyond my box in my head. Like, I wanted to be experimental. SAIC is a very experimental school and a very conceptual school. So if that's not what you're really going for, I wouldn't really suggest a school for you. We have a lot of amazing classes and topics that you can do, but don't force yourself to fit for a school if it's not for you. There are so many schools that, like, if you can really honestly feel it, whether or not you should be here or not. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't really say that, because not everyone can feel, like, have that feeling. But because I know a lot of people that are thinking of leaving, and it's literally first semester, and they could have avoided wasting their time and wasting their money if they just researched. Like, if you want a very, this is how you do it, this is how you're going to do it, teaching, I'd say, like, for fashion wise, at least, go to like New York or something, go to Parsons, go to FIT. But if you want to do just a bunch of things and just, I don't know, I feel like I'm not really describing this well. But yeah, a lot of people end up, from what I've heard from certain people, a lot of the ones that have left, or a lot of people that end up leaving their first year out of school, whether it be SAIC or not, just any school in general, when they think that they should leave the school and they do, and then they get to the new school that they're at, they aren't really happy, and then they realize that they are happier at the other school, because you don't give yourself time to settle into a new environment, or to a new way of doing things, or just to college. Like, really, if you do come here and you don't like it at first, I'd give yourself at least a year or just some time before you make rash decisions, because, like I said, just doing your research really helps on what you want, and what, like, knowing what you want, knowing how the school is, and things like that. I hope that helped. And if you have any other questions, let me know, or I can make another video. Hopefully my camera won't stop recording and I won't have to film on my laptop again.